Good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing today? It is Annie T Chats, and today we have a lovely lady with us that is Carlie Bond. Now, Carlie is a fellow student with me, with Hannah Macintyre, and of course, this is what this podcast is all about. It's about introducing you to like-minded people and to just let you know that it's out there. It works, and it's healing on a soul level. And I'm delighted to introduce lovely Carlie Bond from Rosewood Healing. Hi, Carlie. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. It's really lovely to speak to you today.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. Nervous, but this is good. We just had
Yeah.
that little chat about the nerves, and I said, listen, this is all part of it. Just we're keeping it real. We're just having the chats and to introduce you to more people and to allow more people to meet you. I know that you do Reiki, you're a psychic medium. You are into tarot, you're doing the tarot as well, and you've a lot to offer everybody that comes into contact with you. And you do a lot of online work because I know that you're from Kent, and this is how people are going to reach you, Carlie. So tell us, how did it all start? Because I want to know that. I want to know more about you, Carlie. How did it all start for you?
Wow. I mean, how long have we got? So, I
Yeah,
am a taught medium. So, what I mean by that is I didn't grow up seeing spirit.
yeah,
I was very aware of spirit as a child because my mum was very spiritual and very clairvoyant. So, she would have visitations that she'd tell me about as a child. I've got to be honest though, as much as she was always very careful what she said, and they were very loving visitations from loved ones in spirit. It
yeah,
always freaked me out when I was little. I just couldn't. My mind just couldn't go there, I guess. And I grew up in the 80s. There were lots of stuff on TV. I used to love watching sort of ghost programs and stuff like that. So there was always that kind of view that I had when I was a kid. So as reassuring as my mum was, I blocked it all out for myself. And then my mum passed away when I was a teenager, when I was 17. She used to go for a lot of readings. I'd never had one until she then passed away, and a few years later, I really wanted to just connect with her and sit in her presence again. So I went for my first mediumship reading, and it completely blew my mind. I mean, the specificity of evidence, stories, memories that was being shared with me, stuff that the medium or that my mum was telling the medium was going on in my life at the moment, issues I was having, in relationships and stuff. It was just completely spot on. And then it kind of really opened my mind. And from then on, I went for regular readings. So it became an annual thing. Around the anniversary of my mum's passing, I would go for a reading because I really wanted to feel her presence again. Fast forward a few years, I basically found Reiki, and it was completely, in a way, accidental. I moved to a new area, where I'm now based, and I just saw an advert in a local, the local magazines you get with advertising local businesses. Saw an advert in there, and it said this lady did Reiki healing, flower essence healing, and all this other stuff. And I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. Had a look at her website. Saw there was a Reiki course coming up in 2 weekends' time. And I was like, okay, wow, I'm just going to click on it and see what happens. And it was kind of like an out of body experience when I was going through the booking process. I feel like I was just running on autopilot, like it had to happen. Um, and from then on, I did the Reiki 1 training, absolutely loved it. And it was really important for me because I have a chronic condition that I manage. And so Reiki, being able to do it for myself, really helped. It really helped to manage the condition. It helped with my energy levels. It just helped me to find that balance. Um, but part of the Reiki 1 course was practicing on other people. And as I started doing that, I realized actually, wow, I love this. So that led me to Reiki 2. And then Reiki 2 coursework was, 30 client hours, practice client hours. And the more I got into that, the more I kind of integrated all the learning. And I loved it. And it was a practice client for Reiki 2 that opened me up to mediumship. So a friend of mine came for a practice session. She's very open anyway, very spiritual herself. But yeah, she was on the Reiki couch, and as I was treating her, I could, see in my mind's eye someone
Yeah.
sitting on my sofa that I knew was there for her. And as much as I'd always thought that it might be kind of weird, when my mum was telling me about visitations, it freaked me out, as I said. This was not like that at all. The feeling of love and calm and peace that was in the room at that time, it really blew me away. And I mean, I didn't know what I was doing at that point. I'd never had any kind of mediumship experiences really that were notable. So yeah, being able to sort of tell my friend, oh, this person was here, this is what he looked like, this is what he was saying, and she could verify who it was for her. Yeah, that was really powerful, and I just thought, wow, this is cool. Okay. So
Isn't it?
found a circle, went to that, then found Hannah. Have done a lot of Hannah's courses. As you know, we've been on
Yeah.
courses with Hannah's together.
Yeah.
And it's just been a roller coaster since there, really. But like the best, I mean, I don't like roller coasters typically, but this has been the best roller coaster I've ever been on in my whole life. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving it.
So there's no coincidences, that. And I think that it takes for that read that you have with somebody, and it just changes your whole spin on everything, doesn't it? And you're just like, oh my God, it's just being at the right place at the right time, and you're energetically ready for that to become you. And of course, you seen that sign in the shop window or in the magazine saying Reiki 2 weekends time, and straight after. So it was just like you just start noticing the signs, start going, oh my God, maybe I'm onto something here. Maybe I'll just start following those little breadcrumbs. It's fascinating, isn't it? And I think that's what I want to do on this podcast, is to just introduce people to a new way of a new perspective, I suppose, a new way of seeing things and a new way of doing, And of course, your illness that you were looking after, that's obviously a massive part of your healing journey. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about that? Because I feel that that helps people as well.
Yeah, it's been a tricky one. I have chronic fatigue syndrome, ME. I won't give you the full medical name for it because I actually can't
Okay.
pronounce it. But it took me
Okay.
10 years to get diagnosed with ME. So it came about, I had an allergic reaction to some antibiotics. It triggered Epstein-Barr virus, which then led to chronic fatigue syndrome, and that's quite a sort of well-known pathway for it. But I didn't know
Okay.
what was going on. I went through 10 years of testing, specialists, biopsies, etc., to then arrive at this conclusion. And I got diagnosed in, I think it was 2017. And then it kind of went dormant. It's almost like getting the label was what I needed to kind of move on from it a bit. And it was still there, but it was manageable. So I would just need to build in buffers in my day for kind of resting and, not overexerting myself.
Yeah.
It came back with a vengeance in 2021. So my daughter was born in 2019. I had a lot of surgery after her birth due to complications. I had more surgery in 2020. And there's now a train of thought in the ME community that having surgical trauma to the body can resurface chronic fatigue. So since 2021, it's been really difficult. I've had numerous flare-ups. I've had to have quite long periods of time where I've been signed off work. So I have a corporate day job. So I've had spells where I've been off work for 3 months just to try and manage the condition. And within those 3 months, most recently, which was 2023, I couldn't even get out of bed some days. I mean, I literally couldn't lift my head off the pillow. It was that severe. So having found Reiki was really important, just to be able to give myself that time, give myself some acceptance as well, because living with a chronic condition, for me personally, I felt guilty all the time. Like, I should be able to get up, I should be able to go to work, I should be able to show up for my husband, my daughter, my friends, my parents, blah 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 blah. Yeah, it's having that permission to sort of take it slow. That's been really key in Reiki for me, just giving back to myself. I'm now at Reiki master level, and I reached that only recently in the last couple of months. My self-healing sessions since I reached Reiki master are like turbocharged. It's insane. It's
So,
yeah.
so
Yeah, completely. I mean, it is amazing. I did a session on myself on Saturday morning where I wasn't feeling very well at all. And after a
Mm.
45-minute session, I was like, right, I'm up, I'm out of bed. I did a workout, which is like so unheard of for me. So I just had all this energy and
It's okay. It's okay. I was saying if the doorbell rings, I'm just gonna have to go with it. It's life. That's what
it's
happens. It's
it's been
okay,
quiet all
Carly.
morning, and then wouldn't you just know it when we're recording? Sorry.
It's okay. No, don't apologize. It's okay. This is why it's all real. We have to keep it real, you know.
This is
Um, so this is massive for a lot of people with the Reiki. It's given you that permission slip. And I love the fact that you said that when you went to your masters, you just went, because
yeah.
it's kind of like the energy goes, okay, you've done all that self-healing, time to take action now of what it is you have learned about yourself and sharing that insight and sharing that knowledge that you have got through your understanding of Reiki. Because I don't know, I can't put it into words of just how magnificent and how wonderful this just opens us up energetically for everything, doesn't it?
Massively. And I was at Reiki 2 level for a couple of years, and I got to the point where I was, seeing clients quite comfortably and knew what I was doing. I was, using all the symbols, blah, blah, blah. Felt like I was really in the flow of it. And a few people said to me, oh, you don't need to be a Reiki master. Like, you're doing well at Reiki 2, you're treating clients, they're getting a lot out of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, maybe I don't. But then in my head, something was like, go for the Reiki master, go for it.
Yeah.
Just do it for your own development. And I'm so
Yeah.
glad I did, Anne, because it really just takes it up and a level. And like I say, it's turbocharged it for me. Um, I just think having that deeper level of understanding and of integration of it has been really key for me personally.
Yeah. And if you've only done your Reiki masters, say this year,
Yeah.
now look at the growth and what's happened for you since that.
Yeah, it's
Isn't that
crazy.
what it is? Yeah, and a lot of people stay at level two and they go, well, it was just for me. But I could remember having a conversation with one of my fellow friends that was after doing level two with me. And I says, oh, they're doing Reiki Masters. Are you all separate? And she's like, I'm not doing Reiki Master. I couldn't think. I was like, why wouldn't you just follow through? Why wouldn't you just go forward? And she's like, I don't want to become a teacher. And I was like, I'd no intentions of becoming a teacher at that stage. And I said, neither do I. But, you
Yeah.
know, neither do I. And it was just in that moment, I'm like, the possibility of that
Yeah.
for me, because it's always been about reach more people. So Rosewood Healing, I wanted to ask you, I love the name Rosewood. I feel like it's the name of a cul-de-sac or it's the name of a house, Rosewood Healing. Where did that come from? Because it's a really, really lovely, beautiful, grounded energy, isn't it?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually don't know where it came from.
Really?
It kind of just dropped into my head. I think we may have been doing furniture shopping one weekend and seen like a rosewood, sort of cabinet type thing.
Yeah.
Not that we bought it because it's so expensive, rosewood. But I think the word just was stuck in my head and it just kind of dropped in. And I had a little list of other names, but that was the one that felt right. And
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. It just feels like right for
It
me.
just came in for you. I just thought, right, the name, the symbology, maybe you're an earth sign, because I open up things symbolically, and I
Mm.
was like, that's a really like that pulled me in as well. Carlie Rosewood Hill, and I was like, oh, okay, that's the something I
Quite
want to
pretty,
know
isn't
more
it?
about.
That's the thing. I think it's quite pretty.
Yeah, and I suppose it is very pretty furniture as well. It's very
Yeah,
fixed furniture, isn't it? So you're a mammy, which you just mentioned. So old is your child?
she's 5. This is
She's
great.
5.
Great age. I love it. It's so fun. She's like
So
a little personality.
yeah, so being a mammy, a wife, tell us about that. How are you integrating all this into this work that you're doing that's happening for you? Because Carly, I can see it just going for you. Absolutely.
I'd love that. I hope you're right, Anne. I mean, I'm gonna
Yeah,
trust in your psychic powers there.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
what I'd love. I would really love for it to take off. It is a passion for me.
Yeah,
But then so is my family. Those are my two big passions in
yeah,
life, my family and my healing practice. They
yeah,
are at the core of everything that I do. They're my drivers. Um, you know, it is hard balancing a family and full-time job and trying to get something off the ground. I a lot of my free time goes into Rosewood Healing. And
Yeah.
I do have to see clients or do readings in the evenings, at the weekends. I'm very
Yeah.
lucky that my daughter, you know, is fiercely independent. My husband is an amazing dad, so they're quite happy
Yeah.
going on days out together or mornings out, to let me get on and do the bits I need to do, and then, you know, we still prioritize family time, but it's tough to fit it all in. But then, you know, I think it's important. You know, they deserve to have a wife and a mum who is happy in herself and fulfilled and pursuing her passion. I really
Yeah.
want to model that for my daughter so that, you know, she knows that she can be anything she wants to be, whatever that might be for her. If she's got something that's, you know, twinkling to her, she needs to follow it. I think that's a really important gift as a parent to give to a child, is that permission to, yeah, discover everything that you can, everything that interests you, to follow it as far as you can and see where it takes you. I mean,
Yeah.
I never would have imagined 5 years ago that I would be here today doing this, speaking to you, doing the work that I'm doing. Um, I didn't grow up thinking, "Oh, I really want to be a medium," but I always
Yeah.
had always had an interest in it. I was always curious about it, and I always felt that there was something more. Um, and it just blows my mind every time. I'm sure it's the same for you, Anne, when you do a reading, but it just
Yeah.
blows my mind. Being able to make a connection, being able to reunite someone with a loved one, and not just reunite them, but bring forward, you know, the memories, the feeling of being with that person. I do, like as you said, it's all healing, and I really feel, for me, that's my driver, is to bring healing and upliftment where I can, and that for me, that's really important.
That's the anchor of the core essence of mediumship. And I don't think people realize the work that we have to do for ourselves
Yeah.
in order to build up that belief, in order to get ourselves into that state that we can have those normal conversations where it's actually it's that's just, we're all spiritual beings having that human experience, and just trying to wrap our heads around that is just like, oh, okay, because you're rewiring literally everything that you've been conditioned to know about everyone and everything. It's just like unpacking that, like no one realizes the work. And I know that we do a lot of work online and people don't see that, and that's the part. It's air oxygen, isn't it? You know, that's the part that lights us up, that, you know, we come out of the mundane and we're in the energy with other people, that like-minded people. And it's just like, come on, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more about this, you know? And I think the whole thing is reaching more people. And of course, that's my intention for this podcast. It's just to reach more people, to just normalize it a little bit. You know, it's not, you know, it is weird and it is wonderful. Weird is wonderful, you know. And I just think it's amazing the work that you do, Carlie. You know, when I did meet you online, there was just something there, and I was like, oh, I need to get to know Rose. I need to get to know Carlie a little bit more, and people need to be able to contact you and to reach out to you for what you do. You do a great job, by the way. You did a lovely reading for me too online. I was
I felt the
very
same about you
impressed.
when we were working together online as well. Like I think you do meet people and you're just like, yeah, I love their energy and I need to spend more time talking to them. And that's how we
Yeah.
find our tribe, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, there's that 50-50 kind of like admiration
Mhm.
for what you do and how you do it as well. So tell us what it is that you are doing. You're doing the Reiki healing. I see that you're doing tarot as well. Tell people about what it is that you do and how you do it.
Yeah,
How
so
you do.
I do Reiki healing currently in person. I think at some point I
Yeah.
might offer distance healing, but I kind of want to just bed in a bit more in the in-person sessions and build my practice in the local area initially.
Yeah.
The mediumship, I do evidential mediumship, so you know, bringing through clear evidence so that people can recognize their loved one in spirits, bring forward, like we said, memories, feelings. And yeah, just make that connection so that someone can sit in the presence again of their loved one. And I do those online at the moment. I just find it easier. I can reach more people, as you say. Um,
Yeah. people will find you, Carlie, that need to find you, that literally, like, hopefully people will see you here in the podcast and just make that connection, because there has to be that resonance for somebody else, you know, that they'd sit there and go, okay, I feel drawn to this person. I'm going to go into Carlie and see what Carlie does or how she does it, because I think we need to get different ingredients, different flavors of how people work as well, because it's all very unique work, isn't it? It's very yeah, individual. Like your symbolic diary is symbolic to you, but how you bring that through for other people. Listen, it just kind of like my mind just goes every time. I'm in the wonder, I'm in the awe, and I never want to lose that as well. So you do inline. So online you do the tarot.
Yeah,
So
so I
talk to
also, sorry, I also do tarot actually over email. So and the reason behind that was initially a logistic reason. I don't have in my house anywhere that I can receive clients and that kind of thing. I
yeah,
can do tarot online, but I really love being able to. So what I do at the moment, I do it. I do a reading, put it into a lovely PDF, and send it to the client so they can
yeah,
keep it. Because I think with tarot, I've had so many readings where I'm like, oh man, I wish I took notes, or I wish I had something that I could refer back to. Because then when stuff happens that has come up in the reading, you want to go back to it and think, oh yeah, they said that, and then that has happened. So that's how I like to do it over email. So someone's got something in their inbox that they can refer back to. And my husband, who's a fabulous designer, he's made a lovely template for me, so that everything goes in the template and gets sent on to the
yeah,
client, which I think is
yeah,
just a really nice thing to have. But
yeah,
I am starting to do more readings online as well, because I've had quite a few requests for that. So yeah, I'm happy
yeah.
to do either. But yeah, I love it. And actually, it's funny. I was just thinking, you know how you mentioned about rewiring our brains through learning these skills. I really think, you know, you mentioned as well about parenting. There's a parallel there in terms of you have. I think when you become a mum, um, there's an element of rewiring your brain, reparenting yourself, relearning lessons because you're seeing your child go through things. And I think your children can trigger you in some ways sometimes, but you want to do the best that you can for them. And so I found in my own parenting journey, and the same with my healing mediumship journey, I have had to look at a lot of my reactions, beliefs, and all this kind of stuff. You know, my daughter's in mainstream education here in the UK in a Church of England school, which is very focused around Christianity. So we're having lots
Yeah.
of conversations at the moment about how people believe different things, and she'll come home and she'll talk about, oh, we learnt this about God today, and I'm like, oh, you know, I don't want to alienate anybody that's listening, but the
It's interesting.
the spiritual lens is slightly different to the Christian lens. So it's opening up a lot of interesting conversations around, you know, where do our loved ones go? What does happen when we're no longer here? And it's funny, it's kind of happened organically. She's at the sort of age where she's starting to ask questions about what does happen when someone dies, or and I don't think it's because of the work I'm doing, but I think because of the work I'm doing, I can have really good conversations with her and help her to, yeah, gain an understanding, I guess. So
Our kids are our greatest teachers. You
yes.
know, I think that when you get that into your head, you train yourself right there. They're your greatest teachers, because yeah, they're gonna activate you. They're gonna trigger you. They drive me crazy. I've got three teenagers. You know, I'm past the 5-year-old stage. It's like when a newborn baby comes along and everyone's like, "Oh, I love the new," and I'm like, "No, I want them to talk. I want them to say yes or no." And that's the stage that I'm kind of aiming for. And no one could understand that. And I was like, "No, I want to get out this now." I was kind of like, I need them to express how they're what I can do for them and to tell me.
Yeah. Does make things
But
easy, although, you know, when they're sort of saying horrible things to you, that's it hurts. So
you know, listen, they definitely keep us anchored, you
that's
know, and you know, and that's part of it. But they we've just manifested ourselves into form, Carlie.
yeah, yes. Yeah.
And it's just reliving, but it's just catching yourself in those knee jerks, you know, because we have a lot of conditioning that has come in for us as well. And then I find anyone that's on the spiritual path has made tough decisions, has been in positions that they've chosen themselves, that they've said, you know what, I believe in me. you know, and I think that's what the Reiki does for people. It kind of reminds them of who you are and what you bring to the table. And only you yourself knows what you bring to the table and how you do it. And it's just observing all that, and then you realize that you could be caught up in something that you're just like, it's too icky, it's too sticky. I need to kind of detangle myself and just know what it is that I want and what it is that I need to do for me, for my children, for my other half, or you know, for you as well. But it's in a positive direction
Yes,
of moving
definitely.
forward, you know.
And I think it's
So
important as well. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you there, but I
no,
think
you go.
it's, you know, your podcast and the people you're interviewing and the people we've met on our in our learning journeys.
Yeah,
There is a real wave of people coming through into mediumship now that are normal, down to earth people. Like, we're
that's
not
it.
woo woo, we're not out there, we haven't got green hair. You know, we're just
Yeah,
normal people
simple
living a
sacrifices. Yeah,
very normal life, doing very human things day to day, but who also happen to be able to do this really cool thing. Um, and I feel like it's a really important time for it because it's bringing it more into the mainstream. You know, I delivered Reiki at a charity event a couple of weeks ago, um, to a group of 8 women who had never heard of Reiki before, had no idea what it was, but it was part of a pamper evening. So they, you know,
no,
they'd had pedicures, they'd had manicures, they'd had a facial, they'd had a head massage, and then they
yeah,
came to my little station for Reiki. Um, and it was a short session because of time constraints, so it's sort of 15, 20
yeah,
minutes. But they they all gave really wonderful feedback. I think they all really enjoyed just that feeling of always being cocooned. I think, you know, when you're on the Reiki table and you just can just drift off and all these amazing things happen behind the scenes, and a lot of people, you know, see different colors and have different sensations, and it's a very individual experience. Um, but it's always very powerful, I think. And even for a short session, there's so many benefits that come through. And I think just, you know, being able to bring something new to this group of women for me was like an amazing experience, as much as it was tiring doing like 8 people back to back. It was fantastic as well.
remember you telling me that, and I was
Yeah,
like, oh my God, 8 people, Carly, jump into a bath, make sure there's salt in it, put some crystals in it, love yourself,
yeah, you did.
disconnect.
You sent me a voice note being like, look after yourself properly.
Yeah, you're listening to our bodies, and that's important, you know. And I'm glad that you brought up pampering, that they had all this other self-care kind of thing, and then Reiki was brought in for them. Like, it's kind of like self-care takes a different level when you have tapped into the energy of Reiki, isn't it? It's
Yes.
kind of like it's loving yourself, all aspects, all parts of you, the good, the bad, the ugly, and just accepting, being in that, going, oh my God, I'm such a wonderful person. Look what I've taken myself. You just start seeing yourself from away from your story kind of thing, out of it, and going, you're such an amazing human. Like, look at you still shining, and you've got yourself through this and you've got yourself through that, and you still manage to bring some light into the situation. I think that's a gift in itself. And I don't think people realize just how much they shine, you know, and just how much that they can bring to the table.
Definitely. And
So it's
that's the power of the Reiki energy as well, isn't it? When it comes in, you know, it does bring you that, I guess it brings you that reuniting with your sort of higher self during that session, and it does
yeah,
bring about self-acceptance. And I do think, I mean, obviously, you know, I'm a big advocate for Reiki because it's what I do. But even before I
yeah,
became a practitioner, you know, having Reiki sessions, you feel different afterwards. You feel more grounded. You feel more balanced. You do feel relaxed. You feel like, yeah, I gave myself that time and that was amazing and I loved it and I deserved that. You know, it's a really important feeling, I think, you know, for everybody, but especially for modern women who are working and raising families and doing everything else. It's really key.
yeah. It's just kind of like
Yeah.
me time to just kind of be present. And you'd be very surprised. A lot of people don't realize that they're not present, that
Mm,
they're actually
yes.
not in the now, because there's fragments of them going all
Yeah.
over the place, and it's just reclaiming all those pieces. And I think for a Reiki practitioner, myself as well, and yourself, Carly, that our gift of being able to bring somebody into presence, that
Yes.
they kind of go at the end of it and go, they come in up here loads of energy around here, and they're in that story, and so come on in, and all you need to do is just lay on the plinth and trust that I know what I'm doing, that I'm working with your etheric field. And at the end of it, I'd be sitting at the top of the table, you know, looking at them and going, it's weird, isn't it? And they'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, you're just completely present. And I want you to take note that you're not in your head, you're not in the story, you're completely in your body, because we've just taken them on that journey that's so internal, so sacred, you know? And to be able to give people that time and that space, because I know that you know this, that everybody is their own healer, you know, and that's the work that we do.
Yeah, definitely. It's powerful. I mean, it's hard to explain, I think, if you've got someone who is a
Mm.
skeptic. But having said that, I've given Reiki to someone who told me, he said, I've never had anything like this before. I do not believe in any of it, but I'm open-minded. I'm willing to give it a go.
Yeah.
And so I felt quite a lot of pressure actually, because I was like, okay, not only do I have to, give him his first session, but I have to
Yeah.
also like wow him in a way so that he, even if it's not with me, so that he still goes with Reiki, because I know it's so amazing. But
Yeah.
it ends up being a really good session, and I had a lot of impressions come through around, injuries that he had in his body and issues that he had going on within his body that I was able to sort of tell him about afterwards. Um, just so I could sense, when I was on your knee, I could sense that maybe you had some knee issues. It felt a bit twingy, and he was like, "Yeah, I twisted my knee when I was running the other day," and that kind of thing. So, um, I think it was really powerful for that, in that it showed him that I could pick this stuff up in his body, and it really just validated, I think, for him that there was
Yeah.
something going on, rather than him just falling asleep on a massage table. So yeah,
Yeah. And I think it's the intention that they come. If they come just to relax, that's all they're going to do. But if they come to meet that sweet spot and they know that they want to release something, that's where the magic happens. It's
yeah,
like you with the mediumship read. You know, you met the right medium, the energy was right, you wanted to connect in with your beloved mother, and the medium was able to deliver that, and you're just like, oh my God, I want to know more. I want to, and then of course the Reiki showing up for you. There's no coincidence with anything, you know. It's pretty fascinating, isn't it?
it is. I mean, I
Those-
love it. It is a bit like being on a train that you just can't get off. But again, in a good way, it's like once you're
Yeah,
on the journey, you've got to see
yeah,
it through. I mean, I know people do take breaks from mediumship, and often for very good reason, because it can be really
yeah,
draining work. And I know
absolutely.
I would never tell anyone not to take a break if they need
Mm,
to, because we need to look after ourselves first and foremost. But I also feel like, you know, you've got to keep developing, you've got to keep going, because it's so addictive. I mean, I personally find it really addictive. I go through
yeah,
phases where I'm like, oh, I've got a couple of weeks, I've got no bookings, and I just don't want to do any practice. I just want to have some me time. But then by the end of those couple of weeks, I'm like, right, come on then. Come on then. I need to
yeah.
get back on the horse, because I just can't leave it alone. And I
And I
think that's the passion part.
that is the passion part, and I think that when you are working with energy, I get that myself. My husband might say, "Did you not do anyone today? Did you not take any clients in?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not doing clients this week." And he'd be like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "Mark, you don't get it. I'm working with energy. I have to feel on form. I have to be filling my cup. And if I'm like this, I don't want that transfer of energy. It has to be up. I have to be anchored in the healing energy, anchored in my known, and that's what we do. And I don't think people realize um what it takes from us, you know?
Yes, it can be very draining. I mean, personally, I don't find like tarot particularly draining. I guess because it's working with the psychic, so
Yeah.
it's not draining in the same way. Mediumship, I do love it, but I do, for me it's very physiological, and it's probably the same for you. But I get very hot when I'm doing a reading or on
Oh, red.
platforms. Like, yeah,
Oh,
very very hot. And it does. I guess it feels like a bit like, when you've got a sparkler and it kind of burns out quite quickly. That's how it kind of feels. So
yeah.
after I've done a reading, I do have to go and crash for a bit. But then there's something also, like, I do a lot of my readings in the evening. So as much as I'm tired physically, I can't go to sleep because my brain will not switch off. Because it's like,
Yeah.
you just did this amazing thing and now you want to go to sleep? What's wrong with you? So yeah, I find it really hard to go to sleep after doing a reading. But it's worth
And
it.
yeah, and I think that's what Hannah teaches us as her students, that you do 5 minutes, and the next day go for six, or the next week, stay with that and do it nice and slowly progression, and time yourself and time the energy that's coming up for you, because that's actually really, really important. That's the really good teacher's advice, I think, for our students, that it's not pushing you too far. It's those little baby steps, and I harp on about them myself, but that's what we do. We have to. That's the thing that people don't see either. It's the building up of that energy, and that 1 minute more makes a massive difference to you energetically.
I have to
Mm,
so Hannah does say that. She talks about building the battery.
yeah,
I,
I
I've always
love that.
I've always ignored that advice. I went straight from
I'm
learning how to do it
that
to like
student.
doing half-hour readings. But yeah, but I think, I don't know, it just kind of happened organically for me. I didn't intend to do a 30-minute
Yeah,
reading straight away. It's just kind of the way it unfolded. And
yeah, yeah,
but no, you are right. And I think with all of this, it's building up your stamina with Reiki as well, because obviously that can be, as much as you're accessing source energy, it can be physically
yeah,
quite draining. I often get shoulder ache from just like being in different positions over the body.
yeah.
So you do have to pace yourself. And that comes back to the human element of, looking after yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. So if we're going to help other people, we also have to be helping ourselves first and foremost. That is the most important thing, really.
Yeah. What advice, because we're coming to the end now and I don't want it to cut off, I'm still all new and learning myself. What advice would you give somebody that wants to make a difference, that wants to um change, to start seeing from a different perspective? How would you explain that to somebody, like from your perspective?
I think the main thing is following what resonates for you personally. Like, there are a lot of people out there who'll want to sell you XYZ courses, or who you might look at and think, oh, well, they're doing that. Maybe I'll do that. But I think the key part of this work, as you kind of said earlier, is being yourself, bringing your true, authentic self to it. My pathway, like I said, was quite organic, the way it all unfolded. And I feel like for a lot of people, that is how it happens. So you almost just have to find that one door opener, and focus on that, and then see where it takes you. And I also feel like a key thing to remember for people starting out is it isn't all going to come at once. It's going to be a series of small steps that lead you on the pathway, that open doors as you go. And it's for a reason. I feel like if, when we started this, we all knew, oh my gosh, I'm going to end up on platform, for example, a lot of people wouldn't do it. So you've just got to take the baby steps, but really follow what resonates most deeply for you. And that will be different for everybody. Not everyone's going to want to do the same thing. There's so many different healing modalities. Um, yeah, find the one that works best for you, that calls to you, and follow that.
That calls you. And speaking of demonstration, you actually did a demonstration. Hannah gave you that opportunity at one of her demonstrations. How did that go? Like,
Yeah, it was good. So I did my own one actually at a spiritual fair a few weeks before
okay,
being on stage with Hannah, which was
okay,
also really good. And that one in particular, I was so nervous, and my fear was there was going to be no one there. But then I did a meditation the night before, and then Spirit literally showed me people lining up. So when
you,
I got into the
oh,
room, this calm came over me, which was amazing. Um,
yeah,
and with Hannah, it was really fantastic because it was part of her show. So I got to watch the whole of the first half where she was working, and it was
yeah,
amazing because I actually forgot that I was going to be going on stage, because I was so wrapped up in her demonstration. And it was a night of really good energy, and she did amazing work.
yeah,
Then there was the interval, and then it was me. So it felt very, yeah, it all felt very chilled and very supportive. I think the audience was lovely, but also I actually felt really supported knowing that Hannah was there, and she's just stood at the side of the stage, so she was there if I needed her. But
yeah.
yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, obviously it's a bit nerve-wracking being on stage in front of a sea of faces, but and I did have a bit of a, oh my god, moment, and I literally was like, is anybody there? Because I sort of froze when I initially got on stage. But then you just have to remember, you're putting your trust in Spirit. It started to flow. It all went well. So
It's
yeah, I loved it, and I'd love to do more, definitely.
And that's a testament to the work that you have been doing with the healing, that you have been doing with, you know, the tarot, with the psychic energy. And of course, the mediumship energy is you transcending, you know, you delivering these messages of love. You have a lovely way of delivering the messages. And, you know, I find that, yeah, no, you're welcome. Take that. You find that with a lot of mediums, it's how they deliver that with kindness, you know, you've a kindness about you, you know, lovely kindness and appreciation for what it is that you do, and with the world of spirit, because we have to have that agreement with them. So we've come to the end of all that, you know. We've got to the other side. We were both nervous coming in, and you know,
Didn't we?
even the doorbell ringing, you know, that's all part of it. That stays in. Everything stays in. It was lovely to connect in with you. I'm going to put into the show notes. I love saying this, you know, it makes me feel very professional. Into the show notes of how to connect in with you, your Instagram, Facebook, and where else can we get you? You know, Rose.
I don't have a website yet. I am working on it.
Okay.
But at the moment, I take
Okay.
bookings through Calendly, so I can give you that link as well.
Okay. So you got to send me the links, and I'll put them into the show notes. It was lovely to do this, to connect in. People need to, people need to meet you and to connect in with your energy, to get those lovely messages that you bring forward from the world of spirit. And I know that your mom is a very strong link around you, you know, just pouring that energy into you all the time. 100%. Just feel that that's the heat that you're feeling, you know, that's overwhelming, unconditional love that only your mother can give to you, Carlie. So it was lovely connecting in.
Feel her in coming through and definitely I always feel her. She's a big support, so yeah, it means a lot.
Yeah, she's your cheerleader. She's the one, she's your gatekeeper that opens the door for all these spirits to come forward for you. Thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for filling air cups here on the potty. And you know, I might get you on again in the near future to talk to us a little bit more about more stuff when you get your webpage up and running and stuff. So I wish you well, Carlie. Thank you so much
for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. More people need to meet you, Carlie. Take care. Have a good
day. Cheers. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Hello.